Thank you so much for coming back to Sarita Talks. What awesome opportunities we've had this week to talk to some very interesting people, and more so than interesting, people that are making a profound impact in our community, which brings me to Reese. Reese is doing some really important work that I feel like a lot of people are just starting to talk about, but they don't really know much about it. See, I'm not going to tell you though. You got to wait. You got to wait. Reese, tell us a little bit about your background. Are you in the military or have you been?
Yeah, I was in the military.
Imagine that.
I was in the military for 12 years. I was born into that environment. My dad was a Vietnam veteran, and I've always been around the military. Where I was born on a military base. My baby brother came in a few years after me. We both got to serve as officers and commanders together.
Nice, nice. So I see Kingdom Security. So you do security, but you also, let's talk about your outreach. We had talked a little bit before we got on about human trafficking. So tell us a little bit about how that goes.
So I did a little bit of that, slightly in the military overseas. I was a military police officer, and one of my first assignments when I joined was in Honduras, where there were organizations down there, specifically dealing with the cartel and gangs, were kidnapping people that worked at the base there. So we were
Wow.
there providing security for them. I then later on, after I got out of the military, I became a bounty hunter for 10 years. And a lot of the cases that I came across with fugitives also involve trafficked victims.
Wow. Wow. So how prevalent? First, Honduras isn't a third world country. It might be in the second world, but people don't like to think that things like that happen in the United States. They don't. How prevalent would you say it is in our first world country?
It has honestly gotten worse over time,
Mm-hmm.
um, mainly because of the lack of education and awareness across the board. So it's easier for traffickers
Mm-hmm.
to do their research, gather intel on individuals that they're looking to traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Social media does not help.
True.
As soon as social media started coming out, everybody started posting everything about their lives.
Wow.
And now with AI
Yeah.
technology, you have traffickers that are using AI on dating sites, and
Ooh.
posing as people to meet up with them for dates, and then ultimately trafficking them.
Well, here's the audience, and let me tell you this. What this man basically said is if you're going to meet with somebody and you've never seen them, you don't know much about them, you need to tell someone where you're going. You definitely need to go to a public place. And I just went to an event. Excuse me, on Tuesday of this week, I want to say, with True North, which is our local battered women's shelter, called Men as Allies. And someone was telling us about stalking. And I feel like this relates a lot to what you were just talking about. That now it's so much easier to be a stalker because you don't have to get in your car and follow people around, and you don't have to show up at their job as much because you can see where they're at through social media. So you started this work in Honduras because people were actually being abducted. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
So, without going into too much information on that,
Mm-hmm.
some of the local civilians that worked near the base down there,
Uh-huh.
when they would come off of the base and head home, they were being kidnapped
Yeah,
and
crazy.
by organizations
And trafficked.
and trafficked, and or they were being used to gather information on the military there.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
So now it's Homeland Security and also the security of one's body and what's going on with them. So, once more, we want to talk about important work that people do that sometimes goes undercover, because you cannot always promote what people don't want to hear. But it's through conversations like this that people know these are things you need to hear. Reginald Reese is with Kingdom Security. Tell us how we find your website.
You can go to Kingdom Security dot agency,
Dot agency.
and
Okay.
there's just some basic services on there. We are still developing a lot of services that we want to be able to provide
Right,
for
right.
folks.
But what's so sad is that this work doesn't have the funding that it needs. This work is so, first of all, it is finally coming to the forefront, because I don't have any problem saying when I was younger, I got involved in adult entertainment, working in strip clubs, and eventually became human trafficked. At first, I thought, oh no, I know what's going on with me. I had no idea. And a lot of older people saw that I really had no idea, but thought I knew everything. Oh, imagine that. Who in their 20s thinks they know everything? Regardless. So now it's, 20 years later and people are talking about this. But where is the funding for Kingdom Security? Where are the people that know that things like this exist? So we're speaking directly to you, and we've got a viewer. Let me see if I can see who it is. Let me tell you, you can go ahead and throw something in the chat. Should you have something that you want to ask? We're watching it. We want to know what you have to say. And it is, like I said, if it wasn't for Reese and people that are willing to do this work, we wouldn't have people that know about this. Rarely do victims get to come out on the other side with a story to tell in a big mouth like me. And I'm not afraid to break it down. So there's stories just like mine, but I know that you're working on a movie. I want to say like Austin Powers, a movie, darling. Tell us about the movie.
So the movie is called The Walking Diamond. We're in the beginning stages of it.
Yeah.
It's about an actual case that I was on a few years ago of a single mother that was trafficked by her boyfriend. And she had no idea he was part of a gang, part of a trafficking organization. And it is it's a movie that we want to keep as true and raw as possible, so that people see, that what could happen. And it took us 14 months to finally rescue her.
Oh my gosh!
And it was very taxing, hard work, but for folks like myself and other folks out there who were just committed to the cause, it was a God calling for me.
Amen.
And when God called me to move, I moved. And and so when I look at victims or get these cases, I have to look at them as if they were my own family,
of course,
loved ones, things like that.
Of course, because we are someone's family.
Correct.
We are someone's loved one. And I really want to circle back to it was her boyfriend. Because let me tell you this. I thought I knew it all. And I was in some type of sick relationship. And I remember this is a lot of times I have to think about like things that were said and how profound they were. So I came up for parole after I'd been in prison for 12 years, actually 12 and a half years. And when I went up for parole, the parole board, there was two gentlemen and a woman in the room, because we're still going through COVID. And he said, so was this man your drug dealer? Was he, he asked me these series of questions, and I remember my voice got weak, and I said, I had thought he was my boyfriend, because it was just so in that moment and just telling all the truths about what had led up to that. And, I don't really talk about the gentleman for respect out of his family, but he was a pharmacist. I was missing days at a time, just weeks out of my life. And it all started because I thought he was my boyfriend. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No. That's an excellent point. And I know this may sound a bit old fashioned, but I'm really asking for women out there to be a bit more humble versus their pride. If you have a daddy that loves you and is involved in your life, we need to get back to where men are actually vetting other men for our ladies. And because, just be honest, without really insulting anybody, a lot of women today just don't have that knack for identifying somebody that's not healthy for them. And even a lot of
That's
times
true.
when they do, they still pursue that individual. And I have no idea why.
Well, it takes on average 7 times for a woman to finally stay gone. And you know what? What you just said, you don't know why? We don't know why either. For real.
I've tried to figure it out.
We did
I have
too.
no idea.
We did too. We
Um,
don't know. We're like, what?
and that's with the understanding that not every woman may have a father figure in her life,
Mhm.
but if you have a brother, an uncle, a man that loves you, that be willing to fight for you,
Someone in the church,
correct,
a
please,
pastor.
involve them with your dating decisions so that somebody could properly vet that other man. Because you got to understand, there are men out there, we call them Romeo pimps. The very suave, intellectual, good looking, nice haircuts,
Mm-hmm.
very friendly, sociable, knows how to just take on different conversations, all
Mm-hmm.
that type of stuff. It's a very attractive traits and features, and that's a skill set that they do in
Hmm.
order to gain confidence and
Absolutely, as a predator, and I really feel like it starts too with giving gifts. And I listen. I groomed myself back in the '90s, like, hey, I know I'm good looking. You need to give me da 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 da. But now I really feel like social media, and you go on and you see, oh, Real Housewives, and they're living off of hoeing da 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 da, or not hoeing. I'm sorry, I don't know how that came. Regardless, uh, you're seeing unrealistic expectations of what your lifestyle should be based on your looks, or you need to be bonding with someone on a deeper level than that. So back to the Romeo pimp, because I really feel like the Romeo pimp starts with flowers and candy and some money, and oh, let me help you, and then next thing you know, you're making all money and it's going to them. Is this how that goes?
well, it just depends, because these guys are like chameleons in their trade craft. And
Mm-hmm.
like they could be business owners, they could be
Wow.
in the school. I mean, like it's really hard to pinpoint that particular type of person, which is why I'm saying that, by involving other men in your life, that when I say
Mm-hmm.
will fight for you, I'm talking about would go to war for you.
Yeah,
Period.
yeah.
Get them involved in your decision making with identifying, who these individuals are, because
Mm-hmm.
most women don't even do background checks, and it's
Right.
unfortunate, because it's like we're now at that point to where we need to do that now.
Yeah.
And and when I and I'm not just bring this about women, but my biggest thing here right now is my efforts on the children, because they don't have a
Okay.
particular voice.
Yeah, and you're coming up on a camp. Please
Yes.
tell us about it.
So, what motivated me about this? Well, first of all, I've always wanted to do a youth camp for kids. But recently, this past year, I was instrumental in rescuing a 9-month baby girl whose parents were trying to traffic her.
Oh
That's
my
how bad it
God.
is. So that's what I'm saying about like the victims that don't have a voice are children.
Mm-hmm.
At least with an adult woman, she could fight back, even if that means to the death.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying? But a 4-year-old
I
who
know what
who
you're
who
saying.
doesn't even know like what's happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's who I'm fighting for right now. So I wanted to do something that involves kids, and create a military style camp for kids, teaching them different basic soldiering skills, some survival skills, some medical stuff,
Absolutely.
obstacle negotiation, how to deal with stress, leadership, different things like that, discipline, how to make your doggone bed,
Yeah.
and preparing them for applying that into today's world and taking these skill sets back home, and coming back home as a different person
Right.
for their family, and so that they could pass those traits and examples onto their peers.
My wheels are turning because let me tell you this. A lot of these kids that you're going to service or that you're going to talk to, they don't have the money to pay for this camp. They are not going to be able to go to this camp unless there's sponsorships, unless there's somebody. There's things like this that are happening, and they are so underfunded. Kingdom Security Agency. KingdomSecurity.agency. So many good projects, so much coming on. Do you have a date for the camp set up?
So we want to do it the summer of 2025.
Okay, so that gives us plenty of time to raise some money and put our money where our mouth is. Just want to thank whoever's tuning in. And you want to throw something in the chat, go right ahead. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. And there are more people who need this message. There are more people that need to see what's going on. And Reese, now it's special Reese, but he likes Reese. And I told him we could bond over that because that's a military thing, right?
Yeah,
Reese.
it is.
Well, it's a prison thing too. Old Tosin. Yeah. Old Tosin. Hey, OG Rita too. I go by that one. that was more on the my side than the other side, but we all got along sometimes, talking about the officers and there's nothing offensive about me. However, Reese at Kingdom Security Agency wants to have this camp going. To 2025. Yeah, turn that phone off now. You should have known better. Regardless, by 2025 in the summer, when every kid wants to go to camp. So we're going to go check out your website. We're going to go to kingdomsecurity.agency. Give us some contact information. Don't throw your phone number out there. You might get some crazies.
Just a simple email. You can email me at Kingdom SecOps. That's Kingdom SECOPS @gmail.com. I'm not too savvy with social media.
We're working on it.
I'm trying to get better at that.
Yeah, we're working on it.
But for me, just a simple email. If you want more information, on the education aspect, if you want to help out, if you want to volunteer, if you want to donate, we could talk at a more personal level. KingdomSecOps @gmail.com.
And can we get to you from the website?
Yes. So you can, I believe there's a form on there you can fill out and go straight to my email.
Nice. So on that form, should you want to donate, should you want to get involved, should you want to learn more about it, just put it on there and get a hold of Reese, and old Tosin. We're going to come through for you. Let me tell you, it is so important, the work that this man is doing. And I just want everyone to let that resonate, that there was a 9-month-old that had to be saved from her own caregivers. And it's not just exclusive to women. It's not just exclusive to girls.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to leave us with something before we go?
I could leave you with a whole lot, but I would just say, definitely be careful. And, we really need to band together. I'm a bit honestly tired of the awareness of trafficking. I'm now in the phase of action, and I want to combat trafficking because if you don't know that trafficking is going on by now, you really need to get on board with, understanding where the country has come to. Just Missouri, I think the last time I checked was somewhere between 8 and 12 in the country. And then you got Texas, Florida, New York, California are huge hubs for trafficking.
Absolutely.
And we need to do something about it, and I will tell you this. It is a shame when we have more animal rescue in this country than we do child rescue. That is a problem. And I'm a big advocate for animal rescue, but not before a child.
You know what? It doesn't get more poignant than that. And go reach out. Vet. Google search. I used to be afraid of the Google search, but let me tell you, Google search, I've done lots of good things, and this is one of them. I want to, before we go, say something we used to say in prison. It's kind of like what Reese just told us. He's tired of the awareness. He wants some action. How about this? Don't talk about it. Be about it. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we